Hey everyone, hope everything's going good with you. So today we'll do part 2 of the Coulomb's law video, in which we'll use the Coulomb's law formula to derive other equations that we can use to solve for other variables and parameters in the equation. So this video is a little bit more application based with the Coulomb's law formula, but it's not that bad. It just requires a little bit of algebra knowledge and just applying your basic knowledge of mathematical and arithmetic functions and algebraic properties. So alright, let's get started. So number 3 is Part A. Devise a formula to calculate the distance between charges 1 and 2 based off of the Coulomb's law formula, and then use that formula to solve part B of this question. Alright, so here's I'm going to illustrate it first. So here's charge 1 with a magnitude of negative 32 microcoulombs. Here's charge 2 with a magnitude of 93.4 microcoulombs. And they're separated by a distance that we don't know yet. That's what we're going to solve for. And since they're both oppositely charged, they're going to attract one another, right? So Q1 is going to be pulled towards the right in the positive x direction, and Q2 is going to be pulled in the left direction, or in the negative x direction, because they're attracting one another. They're attracting one another, so that's why. Alright, so we're given that the force on charge 2 due to the presence of charge 1 is equal to negative 0.1861 newtons in the negative x direction. So what this means is, so we can see that Q2, it's going to be obviously attracted to Q1, right? And since it's attracted to it, it's going to move in the it's going to move left. It's going to move in the negative x direction, right? That's why if we were to write this in vector notation, we would have to add the negative sign to indicate that's in the negative x direction. So I just wanted to make that clear. And another thing I wanted to make clear is right here when it said f and then subscript 2, 1. What that means is I'm saying the force on charge 2 due to the presence of charge 1. Okay, so 2 would be the charge of interest, and 1 would be kind of like the cause of that. What's causing it? So if I say if I said f and then subscript 1, 2, then I would be saying charge 1 due to the presence of charge 2. That's what I would be saying. So just go by the order in that. If I'm saying 2, 1, I mean the force on that means that I'm saying on the force on charge 2 due to the presence of charge 1. So I just wanted to make that clear, just so you guys didn't get confused when watching this video. Alright, so let's devise a formula. So number 1, here's the formula just for Coulomb's law. It states that the electrostatic force between two charges equal to Coulomb's constant times charge 1 times charge 2 divided by the distance between them squared, or r squared. Alright, so let's start applying our basic algebra properties. So in this case, we're attempting to solve for r, right? And on the right side of the equation, we're given a fraction, right? So the best way to get rid of a fraction is to just simply multiply by the denominator, such that now the denominators will cancel out. So as shown here, see, r squared and r squared on the right side of the equation will cancel out, since we're multiplying by r squared on the right side by its reciprocal. So like we're multiplying 1 over r squared by r squared, which just reduces to 1. And on the left side, we'll have the electrostatic force times r squared is equal to k times q1 times q2. So remember, with algebra, whatever you do to one side, you have to do with the other, right? So in this case, we multiplied by r squared on one side, we have to do on the other side. So now, to continue solving for r, we can now divide by the electrostatic force on both sides of the equation, such that we'll have r squared now. So as you can see, on the left side, the electrostatic force, or F sub E, will cancel each other out. On the right side, we'll divide k times q1 times q2 divided by F sub E. So now we'll be left with r squared is equal to k times q1 times q2 divided by F sub E, or the electrostatic force between the two charges. Now to fully isolate r, we would just take the square root, right? Because this exponent of 2 and the square root will cancel each other out. So as shown here, so now we'll be left with r is equal to the square root of k times q1, the square root of k times q1 times q2 divided by F sub E, or the electrostatic force between the two charges. So this is the formula we're going to need to solve part B of this problem, which is where we'll actually solve for the distance between charges 1 and 2 in this scenario. So I just wanted to clarify, charge 1 is equal to negative 32 microcoulombs, and charge 2 is equal to 93.4 microcoulombs, and the force on charge 2 due to the presence of charge 1 is negative 0.1861 newtons in the negative x direction. or 0.1861 newtons in the negative x direction. That's the proper way to say it. And remember, we're attempting to find the distance between them, or r, which is measured in meters. Alright, so part B. Use the same formula you devised from part A of this question to calculate the distance, the distance between charges 1 and 2, given their relative magnitudes and the Coulomb force acting on charge 2 due to the presence of charge 1. Alright, so here's the formula we devised from part A of this problem. So let's remember to convert. We need to make sure we do that. Otherwise, we won't be following the rules of Coulomb's law. Remember, it's only conducive to the unit of coulombs. So negative 32 microcoulombs is equal to negative 32 times 10 to the minus 6 coulombs, and 93.4 microcoulombs is equal to 93.4 times 10 to the minus 6 coulombs. So let's plug in everything we have. So we'll plug in K as 9 times 10 to the 9 newtons per meter squared divided by coulomb squared, and Q1 as 32 times 10 to the minus 6 coulombs, and Q2 as 93.4 times 10 to the minus 6 coulombs. And we'll plug in the electrostatic force as 0.1861 newtons. You might be wondering why I plugged in 32 times 10 to the minus 6 coulombs as 32 instead of negative 32. And also, for the force, why I plugged in 0.1861 newtons instead of negative 0.1861 newtons. That's because since we're trying to find distance, right? Distance is only a positive value, right? You can't have negative distance, right? So we don't want to have any negatives under the square root. Otherwise, we would also be we wouldn't be following the rules of using a square root where we can't take the square root of a negative number. So we just need to account for that and just use the magnitudes rather than including the directions. Alright, so simplifying this a little bit more, 32 times 10 to the minus 6 coulombs by 93.4 times 10 to the minus 6 coulombs would yield 3.0 times 10 to the minus 9 coulombs squared. And yeah, so as we can see, Coulomb squared and Coulomb squared will cancel each other out as they're both the numerator and denominator of this problem. And the unit of newtons will cancel each other out as newtons is in both the numerator and denominator of this problem. So now we're left with meters squared, which is actually good because if we were to take the square root of meters squared, right, we would just get meters, and that's what r is measured in, so that's good. So simplifying this a little bit more, multiplying 9 times 10 to the 9 meters squared by 3.0 times 10 to the minus 9 would yield 27 meters squared, all divided by 0.1861. And if we were to take the square root of this value, or actually if we were to divide 27 meters squared divided by 0.1861, we would get 144.54 meters squared under the square root symbol. And now if we were to take the square root of this, we would get a value of r equals 12.02 meters approximately. And like I said, m squared will become only m after taking the square root. So remember, with Coulomb's law, distance r is always measured in meters, or m. Alright, let's do another application problem. So number 4, part A. Devise a formula to calculate the magnitude of charge 2 based off of the Coulomb's law formula, and then use that formula to solve part B of this question. Alright, so let's illustrate this once again. So Q1 is 16 microcoulombs. Q2, we don't know how many microcoulombs Q2 is. We need to solve for that. That's what we're solving for. And since they're both positively charged, right? They're both positively charged. They're like charges. They're going to repel, right? They're going to be pushed in opposite directions, right? If we were to bring them close, they're naturally just going to be pushed away. They're going to go in opposite directions, right? So Q1 will go in the negative x direction or towards the left, and Q2 will go in the positive x direction or towards the right. And we're given that the distance between them is 1.5 meters, just meters, yeah, 1.5 meters, and the force on charge 2 due to the presence of charge 1 is 0.384 newtons in the positive x direction. And it's positive x direction since it's being pushed towards the right, Q2. Alright, so let's begin to solve, or to devise an equation to solve for Q2. So here's the equation, the Coulomb's law equation, which states once again the electrostatic force is equal to K times Q1 times Q2 divided by r squared. Now, if we're going to attempt to solve for Q2, we should first once again get rid of the fraction since in the denominator, since that'll make life easier. So if we were to multiply by r squared, or we would multiply 1 over r squared by r squared, which is just reduced to 1, we can see that on the right side they'll cancel each other out, and on the left side we'll have the electrostatic force times r squared is equal to K times Q1 times Q2. So what we did right there is just get rid of the r squared in the denominator, such that we don't have to deal with a fraction anymore. Now, to solve for Q2, which is on the right side, all we have to do is simply just divide by K times Q1, right? We just have to divide by that term, and then we'll be left with Q2, right? So on the right side, K over K times Q1 over K times Q1 will just reduce to 1, and 1 times Q1, or 1 times Q2 is just Q2. So we'll be left with Q2, or charge 2, is equal to the electrostatic force times R squared divided by K times Q1. And remember, on the left side of the equation, we divided by K times Q1, right? So, yeah. Alright, so this is the formula we need, once again. So it's Q2 equals the electrostatic force times R squared divided by K times Q1. And let's remember to convert before we start the problem. So 60 microcoulombs is equal to 16 times 10 to the minus 6 coulombs. Alright, part B of this problem. Use the same formula you devised from part A of this equation, or of this question, to calculate the magnitude of charge 2, given the force between the two charges, the magnitude of charge 1, and the distance between them. Alright, so here's a useful key I made. So be sure to actually analyze this. Pause the video if you need to analyze this, because this is very important. This is actually how you're going to be able to decode this entire problem. Because when I've created this problem, I've color coded everything according to this like little legend I made right here. So be sure to pause this video here and there to just make sure you're understanding the colors, what they correspond with, and so you can understand the problem and be able to decode it yourself. Alright, so let's start with step 1. So let's write down the formula. Q2 is equal to F, the electrostatic force, times R squared divided by K times Q1. Now let's just plug in everything we have. So we have that Q2 is equal to the electrostatic force, which is 0.384 newtons, times R squared, which is 1.5 meters squared. So we'll have in the numerator 0.384 newtons times 1.5 meters squared. Alright, and then the denominator, K, will be 9 times 10 to the 9 newtons times meters squared divided by Coulomb squared. And we're multiplying that by Q1, which has a magnitude of 16 times 10 to the minus 6 coulombs. Alright, if we were to do a little simplification back in step 2, right? Let's see. So we have a unit of Coulomb in the numerator and a unit of Coulomb squared in the denominator. Using our rules of exponents, Coulomb divided by Coulomb squared is the same as saying Coulomb raised to the 1 minus 2 as an exponent, right? So Coulomb raised to 1 minus 2 power. So that would be a single Coulomb raised to the negative 1 power, right? And that's the same thing as 1 over Coulomb, right? So using our exponent rules, we can clarify that that's 1 over a Coulomb, and we will just then replace that in the equation in the denominator of this fraction. So now we'll have we'll have 1 over Coulomb in the denominator. Alright, so if we were to do a little bit of simplification, we'd have 9 times 10 to the 9 newtons times meter squared times 16 times 10 to the minus 6. And that would yield a value of 144,000 newtons times meter squared divided by Coulomb. And it's divided by Coulomb because remember we're multiplying by 1 over Coulomb, like that, because Coulomb over Coulomb squared is Coulomb to the negative 1, which is 1 over Coulomb. We're multiplying that by this value, so we'll have Coulomb in the denominator. Alright, so since we have an occurrence where we're dividing a whole number by a fraction, we can use the KCF method, or the keep, change, flip method. So here it is right here, keep, change, flip. So let's continue. So here are the steps to do it. So here's the equation we have from the previous part of this problem. So what we would do is we would first keep the whole number in this case, right? So we'd keep 0.864 newtons 7 meters squared. Okay? So that's going to correspond right here. So we'd keep the fraction, right? Now, the sign, which is division in this case, we would change it to multiplication, right? So here's it shown. And the third entity, we would change, or we would flip. We would flip this fraction, right? So 144,000 newtons 7 meters squared over Coulomb would simply become a Coulomb over 144,000 newtons 7 meters squared. All we did was we just flipped it. We replaced the numerator with the denominator and the denominator with the numerator. And that's what we did there. So now, this is actually really good because looking at this equation, we can see that Newton and meter squared cancel out as they're both in the numerator and the denominator of this problem, right? So now we're just left with the unit of coulombs, which is great because that's what Q2 is measured in, right? Q2 is Q2 is measured in coulombs, right? That's its charge. That's the unit for charge, right? So this is good. So just simplifying this would be multiplying 0.864 by 1 coulomb, and then dividing that by 144,000 would yield a value of 0.000006 coulombs. Alright, so now to convert this into microcoulombs, we'll need to multiply it by 10 to the power of 6. Okay? So to multiply by 10 to the power of 6, we'll need to move the decimal point 6 places to the right. Alright, so here's a little illustration of that. So we have 1 decimal place, 2 decimal places, 3 decimal places, 4 decimal places, 5 decimal places, and 6 decimal places. So now we have Q2 is equal to 6 microcoulombs, right? And so since the decimal point is now after the 6, right? If we were to just multiply that by 10 to the minus 6, or in other words, move it 6 decimal points to the left, then we would get this exact value 0.000006, which is good because 10 to the minus 6 is a factor for microcoulombs, and our problem wants our answer in microcoulombs. Alright, so we have what Q2 is equal to, which is 6 microcoulombs, but we can always check this, right, to be sure. So let's plug everything in. So the force on charge 2 due to the presence of charge 1 is equal to the K times Q1 times Q2 divided by R squared. Plugging everything in, we have K is 9 times 10 to the 9 newtons, 7 meters squared, divided by Coulomb squared. Q1 is 16 times 10 to the minus 6 coulombs. Q2 is 6 times 10 to the minus 6 coulombs. And R is 1.5 meters. And since we're squaring it, it would be 1.5 meters squared. Alright, so if we reduce a little bit of simplification, 16 times 10 to the minus 6 coulombs by 6 times 10 to the minus 6 coulombs would equate to a value of 9.6 times 10 to the minus 11 coulombs squared. And 1.5 meters squared would equate to a value of 2.25 meters squared. And once again, the Coulomb squared and meter squared cancel out as they're both the numerator and denominator of this problem. So with that said, we're just left with a Newton, which is good because that's what the electrostatic force is measured in. Alright, so now the electrostatic force on charge 2 due to the presence of charge 1 is equal to 9 times 10 to the 9 newtons by 9.6 times 10 to the minus 11, all divided by 2.25, in which 9 times 10 to the 9 newtons by 9.6 times 10 to the minus 11 would equate to a value of 0.864 newtons, and in which is divided by 2.25. And if we were to divide that, we would get a value of 0.384 newtons. And in this case, since charge 2 is being pushed in the positive x direction, is going towards the right, it's going to be 0.384 newtons in the positive x direction. And guess what? This is actually really good because that's what the force was given to us, right? That's what we were given. We were given that the force on charge 2 due to the presence of charge 1 was 0.384 newtons in part A of this problem. So that's good. We checked it. So we were able to verify that Q2 is equal to 6 microcoulombs. So yeah, this problem checks out. So that's all I have for today. So I hope you enjoyed this video. A little bit more complex, but it's not as bad. You're just applying some basic algebraic skills, arithmetic skills, and being able to apply that in Coulomb's law. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and there are other videos in this playlist if you want to check out on Coulomb's law. So yeah, if you want to apply your more mathematical skills in doing it, you can surely check out those videos. But other than that, that's what I have to offer for today, so have a good day.